Aloha and welcome. And here we go again. I'm having to click on, all right, well, maybe I should have checked this before, And so if some of our, oh, I got this. Okay. Well, if some of you are watching on some of our platforms, and I believe there's one that did not pick up on this, I promise I will post the live recording for you later. Welcome to the Caring Caregiver Show. Aloha, I'm Savy, your host and founder of Gimme a Break, and of course, Gimme a Break, a nonprofit organization, all volunteer, that is caring for caregivers and are here each week to help you to survive. And thank you for putting up with me. You know I am my own technician. So one day, I will have a volunteer that will help me with the technical side of this. So universe, do you hear me? Yes. Okay, good. Anyway, you can check out our website and go to gab808.org and get just a font of information there. A lot of different things you can find on our website, as well as connecting to us. So just give me a shout is one that you can click on that menu, and that will get you in contact with us. And we usually respond within 48 hours. So it doesn't necessarily have to be that you're a caregiver in need. Of course, if you're a caregiver in need, we're going to prioritize that. But maybe you just want to say hi, or you want to connect, or you want to send a shout out in some way or another. Positivity is what we love, so come and share that. And if you're in a negative headspace and you need some positivity, by all means, we're here for that as well. Either way, check out our website on gab808.org. We know it's hard. I'm a caregiver too, and we all are. So everyone's story is different, but we all manage to kind of take on the same amount of frustration and gosh, just chaos that surrounds us when we are trying to normalize our life, right? Caregiving is not easy, and it's not for the faint of heart. But we do offer you a break, and we offer you community, and that comes with our support sessions. And you can find those, there we go, every Tuesday evening at 8 p.m. Join us, and you can just Zoom right in. Just click on your Zoom app. And I know, and I'm going to take a moment here today, because I know I met a lot of you recently that weren't sure how to do that. So just go onto your phone or have someone assist you, and you're going to download an app. So you go to the App Store and you get the app, you search Zoom, Z-O-O-M. And once, it's like only one. And it's a blue icon with the word Zoom on it. Just download that. And then you're just going to go in. You don't even have to log in or anything. Just type in our meeting ID to join meeting. And that's 808-754-3787. And you just put that number in the meeting ID and bang, you're in. It's just that easy. It's just that easy. So you need to have the Zoom app to do it, though, because we do meet online. And we meet every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Don't forget. We'd love to see you there. And welcome to those of you, if you're watching today or listening later in podcasts, that have joined us more recently. It's so great to connect and to share our stories, which is basically what we did last night. It's your positive safe space. So here's where you can let it all out. And we all compared caregiving stories last night. And you know what we found out? We all have a lot in common. And we all can hold hands as a community and support one another through it. And that's the wonderful thing about being able to not just have community, but share stories. We're going to talk more about sharing stories later today. So do that, share, learn, connect every Tuesday evening, 8 p.m. Don't forget. And of course, if you get that Zoom app, that's fine. If you still forget that, if you forget the number to type in, just go onto our website, gab808.org, right? Give me a break, gab808. That's the area code here. We're in Hawaii. So gab808.org, and you can click on right from our website. So don't worry, you're not going to miss a meeting, and if any difficulties, I have no problem taking time to walk you through it. info@gab.org. Send me an email and I will get to you, okay? Or text that number, our number, 754-3787. Text us and I will get to you and I'll help you step by step. And we have volunteers that can do that as well. Okay, good. So see, it's not that hard after all. The Caring Caregiver Show is how Gimme a Break gets you connected to resources. Our Giver's Guides online magazine is a caregiver's guides to caregiving. It's written exclusively for caregivers by caregivers from our point of view, which is very different from the rest of the world. And so this is our actually November issue where we're featuring, there you can see the whole thing, where we're featuring the 2024 Caregiver of the Year. Shawnee can be the 2025 Caregiver of the Year, and we will be announcing that at our awards gala, and then you will see it in our December issue as well. So you don't want to miss that. So please go right ahead, make a donation of $25 or more, and you will get 12 issues. You'll get linked up, and we'll send those to you through email or text them to you, however you want it, but we'll get the link to you and you can read it on any device. It's an online magazine for flying around, and caregivers don't have time to be carrying and schlepping around magazines. So guess what? It's on your phone. You can actually read an article about 10 tips of how to survive caregiving on your phone. And that's why we do that. Oh, well, thank you for that. Okay, but don't forget, your donation of $25 or more gets you that Mahalo gift. 12 issues will come to you, and trust me, you're going to love it and enjoy it. And so here we are. We're in season 16 of the Caring Caregiver Show, and this is episode 7. Only one more episode for this whole season. It's really gone by so fast. But it is National Caregiver Month. And it's also National Gratitude Month. So I just want to take a moment really quick right now to think of one thing that you're really grateful for. Just one thing. And I'm really grateful for support, because as much as we support you, I get a lot of support too. And so I'm very grateful for the support that I get from all of you and everyone else out there. So thank you for that. Nice moment of gratitude. I love that. So with National Gratitude Month, we are grateful. I love it. I love it. Okay, so let's move on. Shall we? I am so excited to share someone that I got connected to and I met. And I was just saying this before we came on. You know, everyone that comes in our path, everybody that we meet is brought to us for a reason and at the time. And I'm going to tell you that meeting this wonderful, wonderful person has really just been amazing, and an amazing connection, an amazing person. Anyway, I'm yakking. Here we go. You know, with this being National Caregiver Month, you know that we're doing our Caregiver of the Year contest, like I said, and we're sharing stories. Why do we share stories? We share stories because caregivers need to be heard, need to be seen. If we don't share those stories, we don't create awareness. Not only a renowned motivational speaker, but a certified senior wellness and brain health coach. Also an author whose life's mission now is to elevate both body and brain health, and is the founder of Body and Brain Health. So please welcome just this amazing person here, Carl Powell. Welcome.
Hello.
I'm so happy to have you. I'm stuttering all over my words. I'm so excited to talk with you. Welcome to the show, Carl.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here and to talk to your people about caregiving, because it's something that's true to my heart.
Yes, and so please share your caregiving story with all of our caregivers and community out there.
Well, it started two ways. Number one, my mother was diagnosed with dementia, and it happened after I moved to Hawaii. She was in Washington, D.C., and so it happened. They told me, your mother has dementia, so what do I do? Do I go back or do I stay here? I just had moved here after being in Washington, D.C. for 10 years and knowing that I didn't like it. I didn't like the weather. I didn't like the atmosphere. I didn't like the aloha, which was zero. And I just wanted to get back to where I felt comfortable. So that was my first hard choice, was to learn how to caregive from afar. And so I was very blessed that I had a few family members who pitched in there with me and really helped me in the beginning start the caregiving process. But we were all very new at it.
Yes.
So learning how to do it from a distance, learning how to do it as a family community where I didn't have a great relationship, not a bad relationship, but not a great relationship with my mother's sister. I just didn't know her very well. So this process has forced us to have to get to know each other very well and to talk about feelings and things that you don't talk to people who you don't know very well.
Yeah.
So it caused me to have to open. So my mother went through her experience, and I kept thinking the whole time, I wish I would have known this. I wish I would have known that, because there were just so many new things I was learning, and at a rapid speed. Like, things were just flying at me. Like, what about this? What about that? Things I had never even considered or thought about. So as it flew towards me, and I had to learn as I went, my cousin and my aunt also were really great about learning as we went, but there still were some places where we missed. So after my mother's passing, I decided that I would volunteer for the AARP, and they had a program for me to go out around the island. I live on Maui, to talk to people about maintaining their brain health, which I thought for me would be a no-brainer. I've been in fitness. I started teaching exercise when I was 20. This last year, I just turned 65. So 45 years of my life, I've been teaching exercise to people and motivating people that way. And when they said body and brain health, I thought, this will be easy. I'll just talk about the body, the brain must follow. But boy, was I wrong. I had so much to learn. So as I learned what the 6 pillars of brain health were, then all of a sudden I had to start thinking to myself, oh, wow, this is something that I did. This is something that I should have known. This is something that I didn't know, but I wish I would have known. These are things that I wish I could have taught other people. I could have taught my aunt, or I could have taught my cousin, to make their journey a little more simple. So as I realized that there were all of these things that I needed to learn, I realized that there were a lot of people just like me who needed to learn those things.
Yeah.
As I went out and I started talking to people through the AARP, I got exactly that. I would talk about the 6 pillars of brain health, and then I would talk very briefly about caregiving, and I would see someone in the audience well up. You know what that is when you are talking about caregiving and you see that person who's just reaching for you. They needed to hear what you had to do. And that's what's my devotion for helping caregivers get to where they need to go, because I know what my journey was like, and I want to share the things that I've learned to help their journey be a little bit easier.
And I love that you shared that you were a long distance caregiver, because so many people feel that unless you're right in the thick of the chaos, you're not a caregiver. And and it actually wears on you really hard. You tend to worry more. You don't get as much validation, and you tend to be very frustrated because you can't be hands-on. And you know, I think that caregiving in all aspects needs to be honored and seen that yes, you are a caregiver. And my heart to you for your mother, of course, and knowing that journey myself. But thank you for sharing that, because our stories are so important. I wanted to talk with you about too, because you have a project called Voices of Care. Let's talk about that.
Voices of Care. Voices of Care is a compilation book that I'm putting together for caregivers from caregivers. So I'm talking to caregivers and having them tell their caregiving story to alleviate and to help people who are just starting that caregiving journey, or they might be even in the middle and just be frustrated about what they're doing, how they're handling it. But what I learned through my journey was every time I talked to a caregiver, there were all of these, oh, wow, me too moments. Oh, wow, me too. And as I got to how many oh, wow, me too moments there were, I thought all of us have a story that we need to tell. We want to honor the person who we took care of. And through honoring them, help other people as they go through their caregiving journey, because it's not easy. There are so many days when you want to give up. There's so many days when you want to cry, but you don't know who to cry to. There's so many days you want to scream, but you don't want to scream at anyone. You just can't walk up and down the street screaming, so you just absorb it. And part of caregiving that is a killer, and we know this, is absorption. You take all that tension, all that frustration, all that I don't know, and you just swallow it.
Yes.
And as long as you keep swallowing it, it's like a disease. Anytime you have disease in your brain, you're going to create disease in your body. And so that's what we have to be very careful of as caregivers, is we will have disease in our brain. We will. There'll be so many uneasy times, but not carrying that through and allowing that to turn into disease in our bodies.
Yes. Yeah. And so impactful to hear all the different stories and the importance of sharing that. And I love that it's voices, because we have to have a voice. You know, caregivers are so isolated. Caregivers are invisible. And we get locked in to this world where this is our caregiving, and we don't see that there's others out there who are going through that, others out there who, you know, are struggling, and we sort of start to lose our self-esteem, we lose our dignity, we lose our hope, and all of that feeds the brain negatively too, and just our whole experience becomes just one that's horrible, and then it puts us at risk health-wise, right? 50% of caregivers do not survive those they are caring for, and that puts us at high risk. And the brain is such a strong organ that can help us to heal, and we need to take those moments to heal. So I just applaud you for championing the voices of care and putting this book together. And I encourage caregivers to contact Carl. And see, I forgot to put that up there. I got so excited today. And this is your information there. And you can also check it out at bodyandbrainhealth.com. But you can also contact Carl, 808-664-6670, and share your story and talk to him about getting involved with Voices of Care and being part of the movement that is not going to say, me too, and I suffered through that, or that we can at least have a reference for other caregivers that something you have to say is going to impact their caregiving experience, their journey for the positive. Wow. What a great thing to be involved in, right?
And the way that I even thought about having the book be a compilation book was I was just thinking about writing the book about my experience with my mother and what that felt like, and just give advice to caregivers from my perspective. And I went to the doctor, and I was in the middle of my appointment, and I'm talking to the nurse, and we just start chatting, and I start telling her about, oh, I'm writing this book about my mom. And she said, oh, what a great idea. I would like to write a book about my experience with my mother also. So then we went through all those Me Too moments. And then I thought, interesting, but it didn't really sink in that very first time. 2 days later, I go to the dentist, and the dental hygienist comes in, and she's cleaning my teeth, and you can barely talk. So I spit, and I just
don't you love that you have to hold an entire conversation with them?
Meanwhile, they're just having a great conversation with you.
Yes.
So through the spitting and everything, I started talking about caregiving and about my experience and why I wanted to write this book of my own story. And she said to me, oh, what a great idea, because I have this story. And she went on to tell me her story. And then I saw how good it made her feel to be able to tell that story.
Yes.
So then I went home, and then I sat on it for a little while, and my light bulb came on that everybody feels better when they're able to share their story. And when we start to realize that we have more in common than we do separated as people, then we start to realize, oh, it's not just me. Oh, this just didn't happen to me. I remember the first time that my mother got violent, and my mother was never a violent person, but she was frustrated, and she swung at me, and I immediately held her hands down. And then I went in my room and I cried for like 45 minutes, and I had put my hands on my mother because I'd never done that before. And what you have to remember as a caregiver is they forget what we remember. I came back out 15 minutes later, eyes all red,
No
crying.
clue.
And she She looked at me like she had no clue whatsoever that that even happened, and she was ready to move on to the next thing. And
Yeah.
I thought, wow, I took a whole hour out of my life that we don't get back,
Yeah.
and just felt feeling sorry for myself and feeling bad about what happened
Yeah.
when I had to stop and realize that this is not my mother. This is what my mother is going through.
Yes.
And that's so
Yes.
different than the person that I know. My mother and I were always, from my entire life, best friends. So when she started getting angry with me, of all people, I was always like, why me? Because we never, ever
What
had an
did I
argument in our
do?
life. What
Yes.
did I do to you? And I realized then I was the person she trusted the most. And because she trusted my judgment the most, when I started challenging hers, that bothered her more than anything. So then I had to learn to ease up on when I tell her something. You know,
Yeah.
before I would say, I told you that da 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 da, you were supposed to take your pill at 3 o'clock. If I do that, it just makes her feel bad about herself. And then she gets mad at me because she feels like I was mean to her.
Right.
And so instead of expecting her to remember what she can't remember, you know what I mean? Like, I'm
Yes.
like, she's just defying me and she's not remembering this because she's trying to get back at me. So I'm creating all of these stories in my head that aren't true, hurting myself more than I'm hurting anyone, and holding on to things that she had totally
And you
forgotten
just
about.
amass this guilt.
Yeah.
You just amass this guilt and suppress it. And it's really for nothing because it's not the same person. And no one tells us about this. We don't know. We're just reacting as we would, right? All of a sudden, your mother or whoever you're caring for is out of character of what you know your whole life.
Yeah.
And so it's got to be me. I must have done something, right?
Right.
And it's just, yeah, what a horrible weight to have to carry. And boy, I'm glad you shared that. And I could relate on many levels on that
Yeah.
story. And that's the impact of sharing our stories together is I just said, okay, me too.
Yeah.
Yes, me too, and I think that's going to be your next book.
I'm loving the process of writing this book. Not only am I writing a book about sharing stories, but I'm creating a community of people. And the community, they're reaching out towards each other, which I
Yeah.
love. I love seeing this person saying, well, I met this person during one of our Zoom meetings. And so now they started talking about what they have in common, what their caregiving journey they had in common. And now
Yeah.
they're creating and making new friends and new connections. And that's what we need, because otherwise we're isolated in telling our story. Once you
And
start
and
telling
we
it,
think we're the only ones. Yeah.
right.
We think we're the only ones that are going through this. And I really thought I was the only one. There couldn't possibly be anyone that could understand what I was going through. There
Right.
couldn't be. And now I know there are 6 million of them, 6.5 million of them just in the United States alone, right? And so, we're all out there. And I love that because anytime we can encourage the voice of a caregiver to speak out, then we're connecting. And
Yeah.
I love that you're doing this project because what a wonderful way to connect caregivers.
And
Thank you.
we still have room. So if anyone has a story that they want to share, please contact me and we'll get your story in there. I'd love to hear it anyway. So even if you don't want to be in the book and you have a story that you want to share,
Just
I'd love
share.
to hear just share. I'd love to hear your story.
Yeah, 808-664-6670. Give Carl a call. He's a wonderful person and totally gets where you're at. And if anything, a great place to put that story out in the universe. And maybe something that you said will be able to, I don't know, touch another caregiver in another way. So be a part of the voices of care. So anything else? Did we miss anything today?
I would just like to tell you how much I appreciate our relationship, because the one thing that I'm not is I'm not a statistical person. When I started talking to you, you had every statistic on this is what happens in here and this is how many people. But I was just so engrossed with the statistics that normally go right over my head. But these ones meant so much to me. How many? What is the percentage of caregivers? 70% of caregivers over 70 die before the person they're taking care of.
Yeah.
It's just astronomical that
Yes.
there were only 4 people to 1 person when it comes to care, where
Yeah.
in years to come, there will be 1 to 1.
Yeah.
One person, one doctor, one family member there to take care of you. Otherwise, you're on your own.
Yep.
which means that we need to really guard our brain health, because as long as we can be helpful to our caregivers, then we don't need a caregiver as much. We don't become so dependent on the caregiver. As
Yeah.
long as you keep your body strong enough that you can get up and down and go to the bathroom yourself, you are still a little bit independent of that caregiver. But the second that you lose your dependence
Yeah.
completely, you become a burden on yourself and you become a burden to the caregiver. So we need to know, while we still have our brain health, that as long as we take care of those things, that we watch what we eat, that we watch how we take care of our anxiety, because so many people don't balance their anxiety. I tell people, sometimes people don't even stop to take a breath because
Yeah.
they believe that breath is automatic. Respiration is
Yeah.
automatic. Breath
Not.
is a practice. And you need to get your feet flat on the earth, get your spine long and lengthened so that you have room to expand and really get all of the breath into your lungs. All of those things, and then just sit there and just be with yourself, even if for 60 seconds or 60, 60 seconds or 60 minutes, however you choose to do it. Take that moment out for yourself just to take long, deep breaths. Relax the muscles in your face. Because so long in our we live with our emotions and our expressions. They're all
Yes.
over your face, but let go of those, because as long as you hold on to that, you're holding on to stress.
Yes.
Release your forehead, because we hold
The
so much
11s.
stress. I just tell people, but if I tell people in a meditation, just relax your forehead, they go, "Wow, all of my thoughts relax right along with that." So, and it's finding those little things to help you get through the day. You deserve a break. Right? You deserve to give yourself tiny little breaks. You need
Right.
to.
I love that. Yes. Tiny little breaks. They don't have to be an hour-long session. It could just be a moment to just give yourself that break. I love that. Yes. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. And also thank you for making the distinction between respiration and a breath.
Right.
I love that because I talk about it all the time. I go, just breathe, but there's a big difference, right?
Yes.
Of course, respiration is your heart pumping and we're taking in oxygen, but to actually take a breath of air into your lungs, we forget to do that.
Yeah.
And that's so important. Boy, thank you. Wow, what great advice for everybody. And see, just talking to Carl will light up your day. And yes, I really do follow those statistics. So many years in leadership, and I was constantly having to pound numbers into my head, and it was always a numbers, and so they mean a lot. But it helps us to see really how at risk as caregivers we are.
Yeah.
And not to think that you're not at risk. You are at such high risk of so many things. Caregiver burnout's real. Brain health is essential. And taking a breath is everything. Changing that narrative is something that's super important to what we're doing as from our nonprofit, from a Gimme a Break standpoint, but what needs to be done in the world of caregiving as well. And so with what you're doing and holding hands together with you and so many other resources and people who care for caregivers, thank you. Thank you, Carl. And I believe that we will make a difference and that things will change. And one day, caregiving will be a pure joy.
It already is, but we just need to learn how to look at it that way. Change our
Yes,
perspective, because when you can change the way you look at any situation, then you get the choice to make your own determination of what that situation really is. Reframing. That's one of the things that I had to do with my mother after she passed, was go back and reframe some of the things that happened, because
yeah,
there were some things that I had deemed to be really terrible. You know, she said this to me, and she blah, blah, and all that. But when I learned how to reframe it, is that she was just trying to find a comfortable place in a very uncomfortable place in her mind. And so
right,
because she couldn't find peace, she
yeah.
was frustrated. And out of that frustration, she took away my peace, not because she wanted to, but that was the only way that she knew how to express it.
She was
And it was a
looking
new
for peace.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it was a new place for her too. So just as new as it was for me, the way that she was acting, it was just as new to her.
yeah,
And yeah, to realize that we were in it together, and it wasn't me taking on all of this or her being really mean to me. It's just what the universe pulled us together to do. And we just had to learn how to do it lovingly with a lot of care, for each other.
Yeah. And it starts with us, right? So it starts with us caring for ourselves and understanding that we're the most important part of the equation in caregiving, and taking care of who we are and what we need, so that we're more balanced. And then, of course, as we continue to advocate for caregivers, getting all the other resources and things that we need, the education and the support and things like that. So once we pull all that together, boy, I'll tell you, there'll be people fighting in line to be caregivers. And in the meantime, we do need to just control what's ours to control and find the joy in those moments. And I found joy in this moment today. Thank you, Carl, with you. Thank you so much for sharing today and for being here. Really appreciate you. Again, everybody, you can contact Carl. Check out his website, Body and, spelled out, by the way, A-N-D, bodyandbrainhealth.com. And you can call him at 808-664-6670. Thank you so much, Carl, and have a blessed and wonderful day. And I have so enjoyed meeting and talking with you. Aloha.
Aloha.
Wow. Yeah. Such an amazing thing. Also, you can check out, I didn't mention this, but you can check Carl out on Facebook. Just Carl.Powell 2, I think it is his Facebook page. And either way, just type in Carl Powell. You know what he looks like now, and you can just see his photo there on Facebook. And check out his Facebook page, where he's had some posts of people sharing their voices of care. And it's just a wonderful, wonderful project and a wonderful book that I know you're all going to want to be part of. So thank you for that. Wow, this season, I told you, full of amazing resources, and not just the ones you need to care for someone, but also the ones you need to care for you. And that's, of course, too, really important next year. Watch for our care receiving workshops, because that will help your care receiving plan and what you will need one day to be cared for, that you need to start right now to develop that care receiving plan. And we'll be talking more about that in season 17, which will be coming up in February. So each of our resources have a caregiving story, and I am so glad that Carl shared his. And that's what we're here for, to share those stories, but also to connect caregivers and to see that these resources that we have are caregivers just like you. Speaking of sharing stories, thank you to our entrants who did share in your story in our Caregiver of the Year contest. Your story is going to go far to create awareness for all caregivers. And don't worry if you didn't enter. By the way, in our current issue, we are sharing those stories. So if you have our November issue of the Gimme a Break, Giver's Guides online magazine, then you will have seen all of those stories. So please go back and check out your link, click in again and go read those stories, because they're all in the November issue. And if you didn't get to share your story, that's okay. We do this every year. The important part is that you create awareness and share that. Take it in baby steps. Come to our session and share your story there in a safe space. And also, you can be an advocate and support a bill that we're trying to pass, a resolution to be made, if you will, to allow the unemployment insurance to allow caregivers to collect unemployment. So you can check that out and go to gab808.org and find the heading Be an Advocate there. And you can even sign on to show your support. As a reminder, this show is brought to you and paid for by Gimme a Break and Giver's Guides online magazine. So please keep those donations coming. That's what we do. Remember, there is no funding earmarked for caregiver support currently. So we're changing that. And we need your support to do so. And we need to just change that landscape also, so that programs like this can be funded, because right now they're funded by your donations. So that wraps up this episode for season 16. And we'll bring more resources and more caregiver stories to you next week. You're going to meet a wonderful pair, Susan Ryan and Nancy Trester of The Caregiving Journey. And I'm bringing Nam back on. So some of you that met Nam the other week, I'm bringing her back on because we completely forgot to talk. We were so excited talking about her sculpting, her physical sculpting business, that we forgot to talk about the Blackbird. So we're going to talk about that. So if you want to know what that is, tune in next week. I really wish I had that for my mom. I can't even tell you. And so we're talking about this Blackbird and the caregiving journey. You don't want to miss it. You don't want to miss a single resource. So make sure you tune in and connect. Put it on your calendar, get a reminder every Wednesday at noon, the Caring Caregiver Show. And if you miss us live, don't worry. Just check us out on those 7 different platforms. Well, today, apparently 6 platforms that we're streaming on, and I'll find out why later. And of course, a week later, it goes into podcast on any podcast platform, Spotify, Apple, Stitcher, Google, any of those. You'll find the Caring Caregiver Show, and you can listen in on podcast. And if you're having a problem, just go to our website, gab808.org/CCS for Caring Caregiver Show. And there's more information there. All right. So whatever you do, caregivers, don't isolate, stay connected. That's what this is all about. We're going to hold hands as a community, and we're going to take care of one another, and we're going to get through all of this, and we're going to come out even better every week. That's our show. So in the meantime, remember to breathe, not respirate. Breathe. And hoping that you're finding more joy in your caregiving every week right here on the Caring Caregiver Show. Thanks for tuning in. And please always be kind to yourself, but especially to those who care. Aloha, everyone.